9 o'clock on the dot, we want to get to our top story at 9 o'clock. A major milestone for Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Her first bill as a United States Senator has passed both the Senate and the House of Representatives. The legislation now heading to President Trump's desk. The Protecting Affordable Mortgages for Veterans Act is designed to protect veterans from predatory loan practices and make it easier to access homeowner benefits. So she's joining us from D.C. this morning. And Senator Sinema, congratulations. I guess it's true, some bipartisan work can be done in our nation's capital.
That's absolutely right. And you guys know me. No matter what's happening and the dysfunction in Washington, D.C., I can always find a way to get bipartisan work done. And I couldn't be prouder of our first bill making it to the president's desk.
You have promised to address veterans' interests as you were campaigning for this position. And I was very surprised to learn that some of the protections or some of the benefits, say, of a GI home loan bill, they were losing that as they were having to, say, refi for a home. So some pretty basic things were out of place. This will put it in place, assuming that President Trump will sign it.
Well, we do fully expect President Trump to sign this legislation. And what's great about the bill that we've passed is about 25,000 veterans in Arizona who rely on this program to get access to the dream of home ownership will no longer have to face difficult and confusing problems in the process that sometimes led to what's known as loan churning, where they would refinance their loans over and over again and have to pay really exorbitant fees. This bill takes care of that problem and ensured there's a cooling off period so that veterans get the information they need to make decisions that protect their finances and their mortgage.
Senator, I know you're working on some other legislation addressing veterans' needs, specifically regarding veterans with disabilities.
That's right. You know, I've done a lot of work on veterans issues because this is very personal for me. My older brother is a Marine veteran, now serving as a police officer down in Tucson, and my little brother is still in active duty. He's a gunner's mate in the Navy. So I think about our men and women in service and our veterans every single day. I've got another piece of legislation we're really excited about called the Legion Act, which opens up membership to the American Legion for men and women who serve during times of undeclared conflict. Right now, they don't get access to this benefit. We're working to change that. The American Legion is excited about this legislation. We know President Trump will sign that legislation as well.
Senator,
and finally, I'm really excited about legislation we just passed 2 weeks ago in the Senate as part of the National Defense Authorization Bill, which we do every single year. It's a bill that provides additional services and support for active duty service members to help prevent suicide.
And that's obviously such a major issue and something that needs to be addressed and needs to be talked about. So thanks for shining a light on that. Senator Sinema, while we have you, I want to ask you about a couple of stories that are top of mind today. Number one, the announcement about those ICE raids, the deportations set to begin in about a week or so. What can you tell me about your perspective on this, and what work has been done to make any progress on legislation or changes regarding immigration for those of us on a border state?
Well, I actually had a conversation this morning with the acting Secretary of Homeland Security. He's actually at the border right now. And I spoke with him about my concerns around what was happening in Yuma. We heard recently of allegations of sexual assault against children, unaccompanied children, in facilities in Yuma. He and I had a very frank discussion and talked about solutions, not only to get those children the help and traumatic care that they need, but to prevent this kind of thing from happening again. He promised to continue working diligently with me in partnership with not just myself, but our other leaders in Arizona to help ensure this doesn't happen any longer. And of course, we're continuing to work on ideas and proposals to help stem the flow of migrants coming into the country so that those who are here can be treated appropriately and those who need to be returned home to their country can do so safely and quickly.
Much has been talked about the back and forth over the census question. Where do you stand on this as a member of the United States Senate, if in fact the president should announce an executive order to put that census question, or that citizenship question, excuse me, on the census?
Well, this is an important issue for Arizona. As one of the most rapidly growing states in the country, having an accurate census is important for us. Not just important for our representation in the United States Congress and but it's also important in terms of the federal dollars that we get returned back to us. You know, Arizona is what we call a donor state, which means we pay more in federal taxes than we get back in the services and benefits. And part of the challenge in evening that disbalance is to ensure that we have an accurate census. So I believe that we should count every individual who's living in Arizona, and those individuals should be counted for our census purposes. That's the only way we can ensure that Arizona receives its fair share of federal dollars, federal benefits, and federal representation.
Senator Kyrsten Sinema, we're out of time. So good to hear from you from our nation's capital. Congratulations on the legislation.
Thanks so much.
And also on what I understand was an incredible run, setting another record time for yourself. So I guess Boston Marathon, there you go, right?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. It was very exciting to qualify for the Boston Marathon, but thank you.
We'll be cheering you on. Hope to see you back in Arizona soon. Thanks.
What an awesome milestone for her. It's always interesting to see our folks here from town get to Washington and deal with all of the issues that are happening, and just to see them just kind of rise to the occasion.
Right, and just, the logistics and the behind the scenes, to be a fly on the wall in some of those meetings, you just would be, I think we'd all be startled.
Well, yeah, of course we would, yeah. So she's handling it, it sounds like. All right, so it's 9:07.